Hi folks, seeing as I have my old Digitech RP1000 set up today, I thought I would do a little rundown on this little Sonicake IR Loader, seeing as I've got it all out here, and I thought, well, it should be quite a quick video to do. However, this has been the third time I've realised the camera's not been switched on, so hey. Okay, so I'll try and keep this brief. I'm running a very simple setup. I'm running my Jackson DK2 with Seymour Duncan JB directly into the Digitech, very old multi-effects unit, set to the 5150 sound that I demoed in a previous video. There's a slight bit of delay on it. Out of that, into the IR loader, and then using an XLR from the IR loader directly into a very cheap Devine PA cabinet that I got from Bax. It's a 12-inch full range active PA cab that didn't cost a lot of money at all. So it's a very cheap little setup. However, I tend to use this as a backup, and I use this as a backup as well. So it's a backup of my backup. But this I sometimes run from the line out of an amplifier. I'll run it to give my drummer his own feed through an active PA speaker, or I'll run it into front of house if they're just not wanting to run microphones. That's my go-to. I would rather use an SM57 and just go straight into the desk off one of the vintage 30 speakers that I've got in my cabinet here. However, this thing does a job. It's a tool that I would say is worth having for all the cost. About 45 euros I think these days, and I know even like Seymour have their own version. It's probably half that today. The reason I liked this was the fact it did have a jack output and an XLR. Not many of them had the XLR, so that just means I can run a long cable length into a desk and I don't have any drop of signal. It's a nice low impedance signal run. And I don't need to bother with the DI box either. I can just plug anything I want into this and then that into the desk. Now, it comes with 11 settings loaded up already. 10 and 11 are bass cabinets, and one would be a Mark bass 2x10 and the other is an Ampeg SVT 8x10. However, I don't play bass, so I use number 11 just to try uploading my own. I'll say my own. I used the Senzo Townsend one from Celestian's mailing list. If you join their mailing list, you got a free IR. So it's a vintage 30 1x12. So I thought I'll try that, and it was straightforward. Downloaded it into my laptop, which again is pretty old. I think it's a Windows 8. And then uploaded it into this. All the details and everything that you need are on the Sonicake's own website. They're actually on the little leaflet that came with it, but that's long gone. And it also comes with the little USB cable. No battery in this. It's a standard 9-volt power supply, center negative. That's just a Boss one that I've just used today. And I will let you hear a few of the sounds, and I'll name them as I go. So we'll start off with, obviously, the thing you want to use with a 5150 amp tone is a Fender Champ 1x8. What I will say is, don't assume that you want to run the appropriate cabinet with your sound, because it depends on the venue. If you're playing a venue that is quite a boomy one, then you certainly don't want to be running, in this case, likes of the Orange 4x12. It's far too boomy. So you're better going for one like say the Marshall 2x12, and then you can have a bit more control over the EQ. So like I say, I'm going to start with a 1x8, not the appropriate cabinet for this. However, in certain situations it works, and that's the main thing. Use your ears. Don't just read the manual and go, well, I must use the PV5150, or in this case it's the 6505 cabinet they have with a PV sound, because it might not be the right one. However, I'll let you decide. You can feel free to comment below which you prefer. So in at number 1 we have a Fender Champ 1x8. And at number 2 we have a Vox AC30 2x12 cabinet. And number 3 we have a Fender 65 Twin 2x12. So okay, number 4 we have a Marshall 2x12 cabinet, the 2550 cab. This one I quite like. It's not too bass heavy, so it gives whoever's working the desk a bit of leeway and a bit of control. Okay, and into number 5 is a Fender 59 Bassman 4x10. Obviously, again, what you want to use with your 5150 sounds. Okay, number 6 sounds fantastic in the room to me, which is the Orange 4x12, but when I've tried this live, I've found it can be a little bit bass heavy, so you have to be very, very careful for getting the mix right. I would say that's probably based on a Celestian greenback, going by the little bit of fizziness in there. The next one being number 7, which is a Marshall 1960 angled cabinet 4x12. Okay, I've never found personally the Marshall cabinet works very well with any of the PV sounds that I've had, so well, we don't mind that. But again, it's not up to me. You may prefer it. The next one should be absolute gold, which is the PV6505 4x12. However, again, the debate rages. Was it the Sheffield speaker they had? Was it any good? Was it a good cabinet? Some love it, some don't. You decide what this is a good approximation or not. Okay, the next one is this industry standard allegedly, which is the Mesa Boogie 4x12, which I would assume, it doesn't say here what speakers would be in it, but I would assume this would be based on a vintage 30. Okay, the next one is a bass cab, which I'll skip because it just sounds like I'm playing through a telephone. And number 11 is the one that I added in myself, which was the one from Celestian, the Senzo Townsend free upload one. Free download, upload. It's, I quite like this actually. It's not very bass heavy, and I would rather have them with very little of their own bass, so that can be added as necessary in the PA system. With that one that I definitely know is a vintage 30 model, you can hear it's got a similar character but a lot less bass than the Mesa Boogie version. I'll just flick between the two. You can hear it, there is a similar voicing there. However, I do prefer that thinner version and then add what I need. It's far easier to add bass than take it away. I always find that way I seem to have much more control and being able to get my guitar sitting in a mix better. Again, simple little gadget, worth having. I'm not going to waste too much more of your time. The volume level is simple enough so you can keep your sound man happy, or if you're just using this at home. That's me talking over it. And you can have it whisper quiet. Okay, so you have to decide what was your favourite. Let me know. I would be quite interested to see what you think. And there you go. Like I say, 40 odd euros. I probably wouldn't rely on them constantly for every gig situation, but just having the option of flicking through your tones, and say you're in a venue that's very bass heavy, you might love the Mesa tone. You might be quite happy all day just going, and then you find you're in a room that's just got far too much low end, so you'll just think, right, I'll try the Marshall sound. Or the opposite, you might be in a room where it's just needing some thump and go for the orange, and then you've got that real low end boomy chug. And if you're playing more stoner type, low end rumbly stuff, fine. If you're playing 80s hair metal, no, not that one. Again, if you're in one guitar band or two guitars, you probably, if you've got one each, you would voice them differently. You don't want to be sitting one on top of the other like that. You want to have your own space. And sometimes less low end is the way to go. So a nice little simple gadget, and check them out. It could be a thing that's worth having. I have this with a little bit of dual lock, just so I can just dump it on top of my amplifier if I want. I've got another bit of dual lock sitting on my pedal board. I can dump it there if I want. I've got an old Line 6 Firehawk, which I tended to use this with more because it had a problem, not a problem either, the right words would help. The Digitech will let me run an emulated line out and a non-emulated line out. So I can run one into the amp, one into the desk. And it's not wonderful, but it's not bad. It will get you through a gig. The Line 6, however, will only run one or the other. Even though the Line 6 has got XLR out and a jack out, they're either both cabinet emulated or both not cabinet emulated, and that is a pain. So I tend to run, if I'm using the Line 6 Firehawk, which again is old technology, the Helix has got that all sorted. However, one that can only run one signal path, I can run a non-emulated line out into my amplifier and an emulated line out from this into the desk. So it gives me an option. And a live situation when you don't have long to set up, I can just quickly go flick, flick, flick. Oh, yeah, that one works quite well in this room. That will do me for the night. I don't tend to dwell on it too much. So there you go. Hopefully a nice quick video. I've kept it down to about 16 minutes or so. And I will have something for you quite soon. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.